So, okay, we'll continue with the some more questions related to electrostatics. And this also a large solid non-conducting sphere has uniformly distributed positive charge. It has a smooth tunnel and a small particle with negative charge. So if it is positive and this is negative charge, of course it will get attracted. Initially at rest far from the sphere. So this distance here, this r, is tending to be infinity. And this charge is start from here, and initial velocity also is equal to 0. And it approaches along the line of tunnel. So it moves along this path here, and it reaches the surface the speed v. So what is the so this is speed, and when it just crosses his speed is v. What is the speed when it passing through the center here? This speed is v, and this is vc. What we need to find, and this is a very simple example of conservation of mechanical energy. So if we apply this as take as 0.1, and this I take as 0.2, and this you take as 0.3, any 2 points the energies are equal. So if I use mechanical energy at 0.1 here, and in mechanical energy 0.1 is equal to 0, that is at infinity, and kinetic energy also 0 at 0.2. So E is equal to mechanical energy at 0.2 at the surface. At surface, what would the mechanical energy be? So here we use the concept of potential energy is equal to, you use the concept of potential, because this charge system is fixed here. So we write up here, it will be equal to mechanical energy will be, let's say the charge is equal to this charge is not given. Let's say charge is minus q here, is negative charge. So this potential energy will be equal to minus q into potential at the surface, V, plus kinetic energy 1 by 2 mv square. So what we then understand from here, that kinetic energy is equal to negative value of potential energy. So here potential energy is equal to V naught. And when we calculate mechanical energy at center here, the Ke will be equal to, here the Ke is equal to Q into V naught. Here it will be Q into P at the center. And this will be equal to Ke will equal to 3 by 2 of V naught. So kinetic energy, since the potential is higher, the kinetic energy will be 1.5 times of kinetic energy here. Our velocity has to be equal to root 3 by 2 times. Okay, other question, some more question on conservation of mechanical energy kind of question. A 100 electron volt electron is projected directly towards a large metal plate. So there's electron here, and its energy is Ke is equal to 100 electron volt. I hope we all recall 100 electron volt is equal to 100 into charge of electron, magnitude of charge of electron, so many joules is kinetic energy. So kinetic energy is positive value. It directed towards a large metal plate which has surface charge density. Now it is given a metal plate here. And metal plate, when you talk about surface charge density, on one side the surface charge density is given sigma here. And what must from what distance must the electron be projected so that it just fails to strike the plate? So if we project here, this charge is negative. Okay, hence if the charge is negative, that's how the field lines will be. Field line will be directed towards left, and since the charge itself is negative, force on the electron will be opposite to direction of field. So this electron will experience a force which is acting opposite direction of velocity. Hence it will keep slowing down, and yeah, at some point it turns like this. So what is expected here? We need to find what should be this distance d here, so that just before it strikes the plate, its velocity drops to 0. That's the condition. And very easily we can apply from conservation mechanical energy, or we can also apply motion under uniformly retarding field. This comes under all motion of a charged particle under a uniform field. So here field is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. So its retardation we can easily calculate. Retardation will be equal to force by mass, which will be equal to E by m. Direction we don't need, direction we already figured out. Okay, so retardation will be equal to E by mass of electron. and field equal to sigma by epsilon naught, not sigma by 2 epsilon because metal here. If this is a retardation, what should be the distance d for it to come to stop? Anything which has velocity v here. Okay, so we can write up, since kinetic energy is given, it's little better to do neither in terms of kinematics, better do in terms of work done. Okay, so work done by retarding force has to be equal to kinetic energy. So d into retarding force, work done by, and it will be negative because both are opposite signs, that has to be equal to ke. So very easily you can calculate here. Or we could have done retardation, which is a little lengthier. Okay, this is the easiest way we can calculate what the distance should be. Some more questions on this. So they're very simple ones. 4 equal point charges are placed on some, they are all points on XY plane. Work done required to put a fifth charge at origin of the coordinate system. So this also, all, most of the questions are past questions. So whenever we have to calculate work done by either moving a charge, when we say place a charge, it requires, what is the wording even? What required to put a fifth charge? It implies that initially the fifth charge was at infinity. So either the question involves motion of a charge or moving a charge from infinity. Here it is moving from infinity. It's very simple. Work done is equal to change in potential energy. Whatever work done by external agent, it will result only in change in potential energy. As the kinetic energy, we assume the initial kinetic energy and final energy is zero. You have done it multiple times. All I need, since it is put, we need Q into V naught, potential at origin. And potential at origin can easily be calculated. 1 to 4 charges, they are scalar sum. So we can calculate all we need. We can calculate potential here. So better use the concept of potential due to 4 fixed charges. So all potential is what? VO is potential due to, and we have all 4 charges are fixed here. Placed means they are fixed charges. So there's no need to calculate potential energy of the system here. And that makes it a little more complicated. Much more simpler is you treat them as a fixed system of charge. It was very clear in this question, they are not in motion. Only one particle moves, so you can easily calculate. Two large and vertical metal plates. So this also something like a, actually it is like a capacitor. So two large vertical parallel metal plates have a separation of 1 centimeter. So they are placed at some distance d apart, which is given as 1 centimeter here. And they're connected to DC source here. So DC source has a potential difference of X. So if I connect this side to positive plate, so this potential is X volts and this is 0 volts. Doesn't matter, potential difference is X volts. And if a proton is released at rest, midway between the two plates, so we have a proton here. Proton means this is charge plus E here. If I release it from here, it is found to move at angle 45 degree with the vertical. Then what is the value of X? That's what we need to calculate here. So what is very simple thing here involved? First of all, whenever field is aligned like this, what would be the direction of field except for the end region? We always talk about the middle region. Field lines will start from positive plate towards negative plate. And that's why then the direction of field potential will decrease, higher potential, lower potential. And in this case, potential difference field is constant. Potential difference is equal to E into D. So delta V is equal to E into D. Since the distance is given, potential difference is given, E is equal to X by D here. And so once we have value of field here, so when we have a proton, proton will experience electrostatic force, E into E. It will also experience a gravitational force. So what is the important point to understand? Any object, when released from rest, the particle always moves along the direction of net force. And since it is given, it moves at angle of 45 degree to the vertical, this will tend to move like this. If it is moving in initial motion, instantaneous motion is like this, it only implies the resultant force is 45 degree from the vertical. If resultant force is 45 degree, quite naturally, two forces are mutually perpendicular, their magnitudes are equal. So what is the equation I have formed here? Mg has to be equal to E times E. Directions are irrelevant. Direction part we have already taken care of. In terms of magnitude, that's the equation. Okay, one more point I added. They have mentioned was released from the middle point. What happens released from any place else also? Again, no difference it makes. Every field is same. Any other point also it will move in a similar fashion. And okay, what happened? Have we replaced with electron? Would it still move at 45 degree? If we remove this proton with the electron, This force becomes much smaller. This force remains same. Actually, electron, if you release it, it will move almost in a horizontal angle. The angle it will make with the vertical will be close to 90 if it is an electron here. Yeah, this is a question I was thinking that this is a little more challenging question and good question. See, what is given here is potential of a charge distribution is given like this. Okay. So this is how it is varying. So let's first understand how is potential is. So let me first draw potential itself. So let's draw how is it. Just try to understand here. 30 minus 5 z is, and that becomes 30. So something like this. So where is it maximum? It is maximum at x is z equal to 0, and it decreases in parabolic fashion. Something like this. This is how the potential is. And both directions z is equal to 1. And afterwards, it varies in a linear fashion. Afterwards, it is something like this. Afterwards, the slope becomes constant. So from here to here, parabolic shape, and then from here, it becomes linear. So I've drawn other side is mirror image. Okay. Okay, so mod function, other side is mirror. So this is how potential is varying. This is what is given, what we need to do here. And it is given potential in z direction does not depend on x and y. And if this potential is generated by constant charge per unit volume rho naught, which is spread over a certain region. So we need to find what is this charge density per unit volume and which region it is spread over. That's what we need to find. Since we need to find charge here, what is given is potential. Charge is more directly related to field. So first we'll find out field. And once we find out field, using Gauss law, we can find out other parameters also. So let's first understand what are things we need to important here. What does this mean? As field has only z component, it means when do we have field only z component? The charge distribution must be planar. Charge distribution must be parallel to xy plane. This we have done it twice today, so we should understand charge distribution is a planar one. And Ez, if you have to write, so from this we can first find the value of field here. What is z component of field? Z component of field is partial derivative of potential with respect to z. Anyway, partial derivative is not relevant because it's not varying in other direction. So what does this come to in a positive side here at positive z region? If we take its derivative, it becomes equal to 10z. That's a field here. So I forget Vx. Now let me focus on the field part first. Okay, so let's draw what the field is. This is what the field is. Field is something like this. Let me only focus on that part. It is linearly varying from here. This is up to z is equal to 1. And from there onwards, how is the field after that? After that field becomes constant. After that, the field is constant. Let's look at this for beyond that point. So what is Vz for z greater than 1? Vz for z greater than 1. Okay, Vz greater than 1 is equal to 35 minus 10z. So this gives you Ez is equal to 10. So from here onwards, it is constant. So this itself tells you something. Can you tell based on this information alone, where is the charge contained? What does uniform field imply? When is the field uniform? When there is no charge. That's only if it is uniform. No charge enclosed. So this itself, moment I draw this curve, I understand here, the charge is contained between z equal to -1 to +1. In this region, there's no charge. Second thing now. Now we need to find what is the, in this region also, what is charge density? What is charge per unit volume? Let's see how do we find that charge. And this is something as a slightly different kind of question. Let's see, I want to find charge distribution in this region here. And so I'm taking a Gaussian surface. What is the Gaussian surface here? It's like a slice. It's a cuboid, it's a surface, it's a slice here. So area of a cross section parallel to xy plane is A, and thickness is very small. It is varying from where to where? From z to z plus dc. So this is the expression. So can we apply Gauss law for this closed surface here? So if we apply Gauss law here, let's see that one. So field is, if I draw the line here, this is how the field is. This is here where I am taking applying Gauss law. So left surface, the field is like this. Right surface field is like this. So flux through the left surface is negative. Flux through right surface is positive. So let me write the value of flux here. So Gaussian surface, cuboid Gaussian surface, from this expression. So field going out is positive, which is Ez plus dE. So whatever field is here, so this side, this field is dE, and this field, as field is increasing here, as the field is increasing, I have taken the right surface, the field equal to E plus dE, little more. And into a, thus a flux here, net flux. And what has to be net flux equal to? Net flux also, you cancel, it is equal to dE into A. Net flux is equal to charge enclosed. This is volumetric charge density as a function of Z, rho Z, into area and into volume. This becomes the volume. So density into volume by epsilon naught. It gives you value of. So what do we find density dz equal to as a function of Z? This is equal to rho naught epsilon naught dE by dz. So what is charge density here? Charge density is epsilon naught times field gradient here. What are the field gradient here? We had calculated field gradient. Field gradient was 10. Hence, density is equal to 10 times epsilon naught. So this is how we find volumetric charge density. So one example we had taken, and volumetric charge density will exist whenever we have a sheet kind of charge distribution. Had this function be like a cube function here, in that case, field also would have varied as a square function. And in that case, this function also d by dz also would have been a linear function. In that case, charge density also would have varied as a linear function of distance from the origin. Yes.
So how do we know that, like, if the charge is not there, the field will remain constant? Like, for example, if it's a spherical charge.
Okay. No, if a charge, okay, if I take any Gaussian surface here, if field is uniform, what is the flux through it? Any closed surface you take, yeah. It has to come to zero. Now coming to some questions on dipole, and a few things about dipole. What is a dipole? Zero charge. Equal opposite, that charge has to be zero. Equal opposite charge separated by a small distance, dipole. Magnitude of dipole. Field due to dipole. Field on the axis is 2 kp. Field of, we should remember those part. I'm not doing that. 2 kp by x cube per on equatorial axis. Potential and torque experienced by dipole and potential energy of dipole. These are 5 things you should remember. So charge q is fixed at the origin. This is charge plus q. Far away from it, there's a dipole or dipole moment p. So this is a dipole here. And pointing away from the origin. So what is the direction? The direction is away. This is like this. So it means if I represent in terms of basic property of dipole, there's a small charge plus q here, and there's a small charge minus q here, and typically we represent the length of the dipole as 2d. Okay, that's what it is. So length of the dipole is negligible, and of course, if p is the magnitude of dipole moment, p is equal to q into 2d. Now the question comes, if I place a charge q here, and the dipole is placed in this fashion, will it experience any net force? So in this case, what we notice here, yes, there's a field at this point, there's a field at this point here. Between the 2 points, which point the field is more? The field here, this point is more, this point field is less. If I have to mark the forces here, the forces will be like this. This point, field is towards right, the force will act towards left here. And this will be, and this will be like this. If this field strength is smaller, right side force is smaller than force acting towards the origin. So if the field is diminishing along x direction, if a dipole is placed like this, it will experience a force in the negative direction. And we will do it 2-3 ways. One I have drawn how this will act here, and this is very easy to understand. Here field strength is stronger. So two equal charges, net force will be in the same direction as the direction of force where the field is greater. Where is the field greater? This point field is greater. So which direction force is acting at this point? That is the direction of net force, and which is attractive in nature. So this will move towards origin. We can also understand in terms of field line. If field lines are like this, if dipole is placed in this fashion, had the field lines been parallel, field would have been uniform. This line indicates that here the field strength is greater, here field strength is less. Since field strength is greater here, field is reacted towards right, force will act towards left, and net force on this dipole will be towards left in this case also. Okay, let's understand here. Okay. So we need to calculate. So first we understand why it will move, which direction it will move. It will move towards origin. What we need to find, what is the kinetic energy of dipole at a distance d from the origin. So initially it is at r is equal to infinity. When it reaches a point where the distance of the dipole from charge becomes equal to d, what would be its kinetic energy? Of course, kinetic energy is coming from loss of potential energy. How do I calculate potential energy at r into infinity and r is equal to d? Potential energy at two charge system. See, actually, if you look at, there are three charges here. What are three charges? Plus q, minus q, and plus q. So if we calculate potential energy in typical sense, if we calculate PE of the system here, P of the system will contain summation of P of three charge pair. It will summation of three charge pair. But out of this three charge pair, one charge pair distance is not changing, so there's no point in calculation of potential energy of the dipole here. So we calculate potential energy only due to dipole and the charge q. So interaction of plus q with minus small q charge, special interaction of plus q charge with plus q charge. So this is called interaction energy between dipole and plus q charge. So that is easy to calculate. We know potential created by dipole. Potential due to dipole on its axis is equal to Kp by x square. And another point I'll notice here, if this is the dipole P here, and this charge is minus Q, this charge is plus Q. If I calculate potential on the positive side, potential is positive. Because this potential is due to two charges, plus Q and minus Q. Since two charges are equal, whichever is nearer, the sign of potential depends on the nearer charge here. So there, this side plus Q charge is nearer. This will have positive potential. And any point on the negative side of dipole, this will have a negative potential. So this point plus Q is placed on the negative side. Hence, I'll write the potential at the point is equal to minus Kp by r square, where r is the distance of charge plus q from the dipole multiplied by the charge, that becomes my potential energy between dipole and the charge here. Note, charge is on the negative side. So this is UR. Now it is easy. So what is kinetic energy? I apply conservation of mechanical energy, easily get an expression. So kinetic energy in this case, if you substitute, kinetic energy will come equal to K P Q by D square when it has a distance D. Another thing what we can do here, when it has a distance d, what is the magnitude of force on charge q due to dipole? That also is easy. We calculate field due to dipole, and we can calculate field at a distance d multiplied by q. That becomes the force. But in general, if I want to calculate what is the force on the dipole placed in a varying field, how would I calculate force on a dipole due to varying field? Let's do that part. So this is a dipole, this is minus q, and I can always do dipole is plus q minus q. This distance is 2d. If field is not uniform, let's say this point field is E here, and this point field is E plus dE. So what is the net force when the field is not uniform here? And okay, let's do that part here. So if you have to calculate net force on dipole, will be charge on, yeah, so basically sum of force on each one of them minus Q into E, force on the negative charge plus force on the positive charge. What that comes to equal to? So force on charge F dF is equal to Q into dE. So what we do, Q into dE, if I multiply by 2D and divide by 2D. Can you think of why I'm multiplying and dividing by 2D here? Because I want the result not in terms of Q, I want the result in terms of dipole moment. So Q into 2D, this becomes a dipole moment, and other term becomes equal to, and other term becomes equal to dE by 2D. What is d by 2d? 2d is a small distance along the dipole. Actually, the distance can be taken as dx here. And the dx also dx indicates a difference in position vector of two ends of the dipole. So 2d also is, you can get it as 2x. So it becomes equal to pe into de by dx. That's the force on the dipole. So what is the dipole force acting on the dipole? P into d by dx. Rate of change of field into dipole moment becomes the force. But whenever we have to do, you can take as the two charges and we can calculate. Okay. Yeah, this question, I think I had done it last time also, but I'll do it quickly here. So the two dipoles A and B, this dipole A and B, the dipole moments are given, and it's very clear from the dipole what is given. Both are directed along negative x-axis. Placed in the x-axis, separation is r. We need to calculate distance from A at point at which both produce the same potential. So we need to find which is the point P and what is the distance of point P at which both can create same potential. And answer is in terms of R. This is how the question had come. So let's see that. So what I whenever something like this, I find it easier to QA term, I replace with dipole moment. So this becomes equal to P. Dipole moment magnitude is direction indicated in terms of arrow. Similarly, this magnitude is twice of that much. So what does P indicate here? So P indicates the P value is equal to 2QA. Okay, so we need to find, and what is important to understand here, potential, important point is on the positive direction dipole. So any point on this side, A will have positive potential, and in the front of B also it will have positive potential, rear side it will have negative potential. So first of all, we need to look at where there are three regions here: left of A, in between AB, and right of B. Where would the point be where potentials are equal? So first of all, sign must be same. This region both have positive sign, so it is possible signs are same. But both the signs are same. This region, it is on the rear of A, front of B. So one potential is positive, one is negative. So here E cannot have equal potential. Here also both have negative values. Here also positive. But they have unequal magnitude. Point having equal potential will occur nearer to a smaller magnitude. So it cannot occur here. It has to occur on the right side of the P. So where would the point P be where potential will be equal? It can only be towards right of point B. Now this part is simple here. So I assume that okay, this is a point here, there's some point where, and this distance is x. The point at a distance x in this direction, the potential is equal. So I write those equal potential terms here. What is the value of potential? I hope most of you recall. Potential is equal to, on the negative side, is minus Kp by square of the distance. This is the potential due to, so if I write potential due to A, potential due to A will be equal to minus K into 2P divided by x square. This is potential due to A, and potential due to dipole B will be equal to minus K, magnitude is P, and the distance is x minus R whole square. Equate those two, we get the value of x. Another similar question on dipole. An electric dipole has a fixed dipole moment of P. It makes an angle theta with the x-axis. This is how dipole is placed in xy plane. It is making an angle theta with the x-axis. When subjected to electric field E1, it experiences a torque tau 1. How is E1 here? The direction of E1 is something like this. Let me represent how the first field is. The first field is something like this, E1, along x-axis. So what is the torque a dipole experiences in presence of a uniform field? It is based on that. Torque in terms of vector notation, torque is a vector quantity, it's P cross E. And in this case, if that is the direction, P cross E means my finger should curl from P vector to E vector. So it will create a torque in which direction? If I use that one, it will create a torque going into the plane of paper. And magnitude of torque will be equal to magnitude of dipole, magnitude of field into sine of angle between the two. First, okay, so first thing what I find here, tau 1, first torque due to E1, let's mark the magnitude and direction. Tau 1 will be magnitude, will be, okay, it will be cross going into the plane of paper, P into E1, magnitude of E is E into sine of theta. This is due to first one. How is the second one? Second field is this, the magnitude here. The second field is like this. E2. This also will create a torque, and this will create a torque in the opposite sense. That's why they are given as the directions are opposite, magnitudes are equal. So we'll just worry about the magnitude. What is tau 2 equal to? Dipole remains same. Magnitude of field becomes root 3e, and sine of angle between them, this angle sine of 90 minus theta. That's angle between P vector and E2 vector. We need to find theta here. Very easily you can find, equate those two torques here. This question, just read the question once. Okay. This is based on conductor behavior with a cavity. And whenever we place a charge inside the cavity, see, we know in a conductor, the charge can only reside either on the inner surface or on the outer surface. So let's recap some of the important property here. See, if we place charge inside the cavity, I think I'll just go to basic points here. Charge inside, whatever charge we place inside the cavity, the total charge on inner surface is same equal to net charge in the cavity. So first thing, okay, what are the points I can make a note of? Sorry. So first point, what you notice here, net charge on inner surface. And I think I've given a short note. I've sent to all of you. I hope you all have got net charge on inner surface is equal to negative of sum of charge inside the cavity. So if the cavity has charge here, in this case, what would be the net charge on the inner surface of the cavity? The net charge placed inside the cavity is plus Q minus Q. Net charge is 0. So some places here, so net charge on the inner surface is equal to 0. It doesn't mean that there's no induced charge. Somewhere there'll be positive charge density, somewhere there'll be negative charge density. So question comes, there's induced charge on inner surface whenever you have charge placed like this. Second point, how is the induced charge inner surface? Induced charge on inner surface is such that it makes field outside the cavity surface due to induced charge on the inner surface, field due to induced charge on the inner surface plus field due to charge in the cavity. Both put together outside the cavity area becomes 0. So anywhere, so that's how the charge arrangement takes place. And as I move the charge inside the cavity, the charge distribution of inner surface changes. So inner surface induced charge gets affected by charge inside the cavity. And it arranges in such a way that anywhere outside the cavity surface, due to two charge system, which are two charge system, inner surface of the cavity and charge inside the cavity, both put together, field becomes zero. So in this case, what is the charge on the outer surface? Charge on the outer surface, if the conductor was neutral here, charge induced on the inner surface is equal and opposite to charge in the cavity. Hence, it has to be same as charge in the cavity. So charge on the outer surface, it will be equal to summation of charge in the cavity. And but important point here, on the outer surface, wherever we place the charge inside the cavity, it will be uniformly distributed. It will be uniformly distributed. So if I move the charge within the cavity here and there, the distribution of charge on the inner surface will change. But anywhere field outside the inner surface of the cavity, field will remain zero, and charge distribution on outer surface also remain unchanged. So charge in the cavity affects the distribution inside. But what will happen if I bring a charge outside here? Charge on the outer surface, it affects charge distribution on the outer surface here. The charge outside affects charge distribution on the outer surface. And similar thing happens here. The outer surface, how does the distribution takes place? Induced charge on the outer surface. Induced charge in outer surface, induced charge on the outer surface. How does it distribute? It makes the field anywhere inside the outer surface equal to zero. It makes the field, which field I am writing? Field due to induced charge on the outer surface, plus field due to charge outside, becomes zero for region inside outer surface. So these are a few points. I think then the short note you can just go through, and then it is very easy to answer. So this question was very direct question. This minus q. Hence, net charge density on inner surface is zero, and net charge density on outer surface also is zero. Large non-conducting sheet M is given a uniform charge density. So there's a sheet here. It is given some charge here. So assume if its charge is positive, then the field lines will be like this. It will have a uniform field perpendicular to the surface. Field line will be perpendicular to the surface. This is how field lines are. And if we bring two uncharged small metal rods A and B, so if the metal rods are brought close to this, what happens here? And this we have seen earlier also. In case of metal rod, it has free electron. If field is like this, field is towards right, like free electrons will experience a force towards left. So electrons will come and accumulate here. And if electron moves from a region, it will leave behind net positive charge. So there will be induced charge like this. If there's induced charge like this, net charge acting on the and this is placed in a field like this. So which direction the force is acting on the negative charge? So it will become like a dipole. So this is what will happen. And what would be nature of force between A and B in both the cases? Now A and B also, they will tend to attract each other. So attractive forces will develop. This is basically induction effect in case of metal. So whenever metal is placed in an external magnetic field, charge gets induced. There's a rearrangement of charge. Net charge still remains zero. Charge will rearrange in such a way that anywhere in the interior region of the conductor, the field has to become zero. So that's how kind of redistribution takes place. Okay. A thin metal spherical shell contains a charge Q. So this is like a copper shell. It's a three-dimensional, it's a spherical shell, charge Q. A point charge Q is placed at the center, and another charge Q is placed outside. Let me call this point as outside Q. All three charges are positive. Direction of net force and charge at the center. Okay. So when we talk about this kind of arrangement, there are in all, what are the charges here? This charge is Q. This charge also, there is some charge on the inner surface, there is some charge on the outer surface. Charge on the inner surface will be equal to minus q. Charge on the outer surface will be such that total charge on inner surface plus outer charge becomes equal to net charge here. Charge on the outer surface becomes equal to q plus small q. And if this charge q is placed at the center, the distribution of charge on the inner surface will be uniform. If it is not placed at the center, suppose the charge is placed nearer to the surface here, this charge density here will be more and other somewhere it may be less. So this distribution, if charge is placed in the center, may be uniform. So this is how actually we can think of four charge system. What are the four charge system? I can solve this is charge in the cavity. This is charge outside. This is charge on the induced charge on the inner surface. This is induced charge and altogether outer surface. The fourth system. Now let's evaluate what happens here. What is the direction of force acting on the charge at the center? So will this charge experience any net force? That's the question is. Okay. So this, if the charge is placed at the center, net force will be zero. Let's see why it will be zero. The net force on charge QC, it will experience field due to, I'm writing field due to IO plus field due to outer charge plus field due to induced field on the inner surface. Okay. This is the force it will experience. Three different charges. It will create a field. I have already mentioned here how is the distribution of charge on the outer surface takes place. The charge will rearrange in such a way that field due to this plus this anywhere inside the surface has to be zero. So basically it says these two will create zero field in any interior region. So this becomes equal to QC, charge induced on the inner surface. And inner surface charge is uniformly distributed. And since it is uniformly distributed, field inside is zero. This is like a spherical charge distribution. The force also will become zero. And this effect is also called shielding effect. So if I place a charge inside, if this is not charged, any charge, wherever you place the charge outside here, this charge outside or outside field does not create any force or any field in the interior region. That's electrical shielding. What is the direction of force on the central charge due to shell? Will it experience any charge due to shell? That's a different question. Total force on the charge QC is zero. But it doesn't mean, okay, so if I have to, what is the force applied by shell? If I have to calculate force applied by the shell, net force is zero. Net force is composed of two things, force due to shell plus force due to Q. So what is force due to shell? Force due to shell will be equal to negative of force applied by the external charge. So whatever, if the distance is given, if the distance is R here, the force applied by the shell will be not depend on this charge. Force applied by the shell on this charge will only depend on this charge here and the distance between the two. Okay, I think almost I'll just stop here. I think I run out of time, and there's a few small points left. Let's start. I think that's all electrostatics main points here.